Well, the most important thing to remember about giving is for it to be of any value to the giver, it's got to be done out of a heart of love. 1 Corinthians 13:3 tells us, if I give all my possessions to the poor, but do not have love, it profits me what? Nothing. Zero. Nada. Can you imagine anything more commendable than giving all you have to the poor? But the Lord tells us it's absolutely of no benefit to the giver if it's not done with love. Well, for several years, I really struggled with how to give consistently out of a heart of love. And then it finally dawned on me. The only way to do this is to give each gift to the person of Jesus. And when I do that, my giving becomes an act of worship. It's an opportunity for me to express my love for the Lord. And that changed everything. I no longer had to give, I wanted to give. And here's the biggest benefit of all. Luke 12:34 tells us, where our treasure is, there's our heart also. So follow along with me. When I give my gift to Christ, what happens to my heart? It follows, and I draw closer to Him. So I want to encourage you. Please get in the habit of consistently giving each of your gifts to Christ. Well, next week we're going to complete the estimated spending plan. We're going to begin tracking our income along with completing our personality profile. And Kyle, please tell us more about that.
The personality profile is a great tool to help you discover the unique ways that God has made you. God has given each of us special physical and mental abilities and personalities. Discovering how God has made you can help you not only in your work, but in your relationships as well. The second practical application is to complete the estimated spending plan. Now, if you are using Money Lounge, you can simply continue the budgeting process by logging on to Money Lounge. If you are not using Money Lounge, you will have one of two options to complete the estimated spending plan: the paper and pencil version, which can be found in your workbook, or the electronic estimated spending plan. For many folks, the estimated spending plan can be a challenge because you may be discouraged to learn that you are spending more than you earn. But take heart, there is hope. Every week for the rest of the study, you will be refining a workable spending plan. To start, you will need to list all your income in the income section of the estimated spending plan. Once you've recorded your income, you will then need to list your expenses. This can be done by reviewing your 30 days of tracking and then completing and totaling each expense category on the estimated spending plan. After you complete and total the expense categories, add them together to determine your total expenses. The final step is subtracting your total expenses from your total income to determine whether you have a surplus or a deficit. Now let's meet a couple who has experienced the benefits of using a spending plan.
Hi, we're the Brennans. I'm Casey.
I'm Ryan.
And we recently started dancing. We do ballroom. We're learning how to salsa. And
Tango.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
We love it.
I like spending time with my wife, and that's a great hobby that was my idea.
Ryan and I never really discussed, we discussed money, but it was like, I feel like it had always been a sore subject, so we just kind of like passed it off or whatever. And
we were either fighting about it or
Yeah.
we weren't talking about it.
yeah, there was never real discussion. For the first time in our marriage, Ryan created this budget and a game plan. And he's always got like a backup for the backup for the backup, which I love. And he created this little spreadsheet kind of thing where we have it on our fridge, and I'm able to look at it whenever I want. I know where we're at, and he changes it weekly, and we talk about it, and it just really put hope in me and both of us. I think that we're on the right track and we're in it together. Before, it felt like two separate people fighting against it, and we weren't really together as a team. And now we're like the best team ever.
I remember being in debt, and all my mental downtime went to how are we going to pay off this debt? It's just a huge mountain. I was working extra jobs. Colleen was working extra jobs. So not only our physical time went to extra jobs in order to pay down the debt, but my mental time was there also. So I just remember writing or paying that last bill online. I'll never forget that day. And since then, it's been awesome just to have that mental freedom, to have our time back where I don't have to work extra. And now we live on 50% of what I bring home. So during that, it took us 7 years to get out of debt. We learned how to cut our expenses and to live on 50% of our income. And so there's just a really big surplus, and to have that to save, to give, to tithe has been awesome.
One last thought. God really wants us to give to help the poor and needy. In Matthew 25, starting at verse 34, it's one of the most amazing passages in the entire Bible. Here's what it tells us. The king will say, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. And the righteous will answer him and say, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? The king will answer and say, to the extent that you did it to one of these brothers of mine, even to the least of them, now listen to this, you did it to me. You did it to me. In some way we just can't understand. When we give to the poor and needy, we're actually giving to the Lord Jesus Christ. That is stunning. And the reverse is terrifying. When we don't care for the needy, we're leaving Jesus himself hungry and thirsty. May we be able to echo what Job said in Job 29:12. I delivered the poor who cried for help, and the orphan who had no helper. I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame, and I was a father to the needy. Now listen to how he ends this. And I investigated the case which I did not know. May that be true of all God's people.